Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. This is Joe with the Local Search Association, and I would like to welcome all of you to LSA's webinar series. Today's webinar is titled Local Targeted Video, the Biggest Opportunity and Threat Since Digital, and will be brought to you by our guest presenter, John McIntyre from Sightly. With that, let's get started. Over to you, John.
Thanks, Joe, and I'd like to thank the Local Search Association for inviting me to speak today. As Joe mentioned, and as the title listed, my goal today is to shed some light on really how the local advertising market can take advantage of the rapid growth in video advertising. Certainly based on the number of people who tuned in today, appears that it's a pretty hot topic. So I'd like to start by putting the current video advertising opportunity in context by taking a walk down memory lane, if you will, to really review how the local market responded to a similar major shift in technology when we moved from print to digital. So obviously, the very beginning, the advent here, print really dominated local advertising for many years until relatively recently the advent of digital media came onto the scene in the mid-90s, beginning with websites and of course directories and moving to search engines and other types of models that drove traffic. And here, took a process here that the market really allowed the providers in this process were relatively slow to adopt digital. And you can see that as these emerging companies came on the market, it really saw print reach its peak in the mid-2000s, where that transition, where online really reached a tipping point between print and online, really just about a handful of years ago. And so from that transition, you really saw an opportunity that was really missed by a number of the folks that were in the local advertising market. And this is really where I think the local advertising market maybe failed at that point in time to recognize that they were local advertising and really view themselves as print. But we've really seen that shift occur, and by being a little slow to adopt this new technology and really new consumer paradigm that came out of this, it really opened the opportunity for a number of companies that you're all familiar with to jump into the local space. And really, you can see that even from a market value standpoint of the type of value creation that was generated through these types of companies. Now, the good news is that most of you certainly recognize the importance of digital, otherwise you wouldn't be here today. And despite maybe the slower than ideal adoption, have made a lot of progress. So really the question that I kind of have for rhetorically here is, if you had a chance to go back in time, in our Wayback Machine, if you will, would you move faster to adopt digital? And I think everyone would agree that yes, they would move faster to adopt digital and to innovate products to respond to the change in the audience. So knowing that, the good news is with video advertising, you really get a chance to do a do-over, because really something very similar is happening in the market, and you're really in a perfect position today to take advantage of this and really quickly adopt this product, this market medium to meet the needs of your customers. So really, we're in the midst here, much like the shift from print to digital, and really a seismic shift in the audience. And it's not only being driven by technical innovation, but again, it's being led by the audience, moving from kind of that classic single screen TV to the multi-screen viewing. So here are a few stats. It's just really quickly to wrap your brain around that most of you are probably familiar with, but they bear repeating to talk about the magnitude of this shift. Is we've got 190 million Americans watch video every month, and that's over 56% of the total population, and 90% of total internet users population are watching online video each month. And how much video they're watching? Well, you can see that that there are 52 billion videos were watched in December, with 35 billion video ads being served every month right now. And really, it's just a staggering amount of content and ads being generated or consumed at this point in time. So we're really way past the tipping point on the road to this new paradigm. We've got online video really is mainstream now, and everyone's watching, including all segments. This is not millennials watching. This is all segments, including audiences to 65 plus and beyond. So really, what does the primary competitor in this space, TV, what's the TV industry think about all this, right? Well, same as in kind of the dawn of digital, some folks are in denial. Some believe that real change is coming, but it's far away. But increasingly, most realize that the video revolution is really about to rock their foundation. And in fact, just a couple of weeks ago, the CEO of Nielsen, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with as being the TV industry's trusted third-party measurement partner, wrote an article entitled "The Expected Seismic Shift in Video Consumption." And really, what he pointed out is that TV, as we know it, has changed forever, and really will cease to exist as its current form, and is ready to, literally and physically morph into a new type of content, which really is video. So really the question many of you are probably asking, that we ask ourselves here at Sightly, is why does this matter to you and certainly to the local businesses that you serve? Well, you may not believe that it affects your businesses, but because most don't do TV advertising today. But unlike TV or any other medium for that matter, online video is a great equalizer, and it's the one medium that can impact really every phase of the purchase process. So this is not just a replacement for TV from a branding standpoint. It goes well beyond generating awareness. We look at it not only from a demand generation standpoint, but all the way through the funnel, where it's generating awareness from the standpoint of videos being really 3 times consumers who watch video are 3 times more likely to purchase, and that flows all the way through the funnel. So, for example, in the familiarity phase, video acts as kind of a hybrid awareness demand mechanism to prompt engagement, and video ads, when they're really well done, compelling offers and deals, act as triggers for each of these steps in the funnel, specifically around consideration and purchase. And so really providing a clear path all the way through. So when you think about it, not only is it classic branding, demand generation, but video also acts as a customer acquisition, or we like to call demand conversion function. And really the takeaway here is that video is just not for big brands anymore. So really, hopefully I've been able to just briefly convince you, if you're not already convinced, of the massive shift that's happening here in the audience, but also that it has a real impact on you and the local market specifically. But then the next question to ask is, well, how do local businesses and their service providers take advantage of this shift? And so what I'd like to do is take a little bit of time to discuss really some of the best practices in taking advantage of local video advertising. There's really 3 key best practices that I want to talk about today. The first is in creating localized commercials for those local businesses, being able to reach every screen and every activity that the customer or consumer are participating in, and of course, finally, being able to target your audience in a very hyper-local market for each of your target audiences. So let's get into some detail here of each of the three of these. First, under localized commercials, we like to use the term personalized. And the thought here is that by creating content that is specific and quite frankly relevant to the local market, you're generating a much more engaged consumer. And you can see that studies have shown that by personalizing that content, you're boosting response rates by up to 200%, which is absolutely massive. So that personalization of the content really is what makes the local opportunity unique, because really the most TV and certainly most advertising is thought of at a national level. But in reality, what we see is happening is kind of moving from this one-to-many to one-to-one model around being able to generate very content that's individually personalized. I mean, we believe that in the future, hopefully not too distant future, if we can help it, is that the commercials that you see will be designed dynamically and in real time for you individually to see, based on your history and your information, your demographics, etc. And so in order to be able to take advantage of that, you're certainly going to have the ability to localize and personalize that content. Of course, the content also needs to be high quality to create credibility. It needs to be really an engaging message. The idea of it being authentic and really targeted toward you is highly important. And then, of course, this is one where video has such a big advantage over TV, is being able to take advantage of the interactive capability of the internet by having very strong, compelling calls to action to drive demand generation. Because again, video, we talked about that funnel, isn't just a brand awareness tool like it's been done traditionally. Because of the internet and how it can be targeted, you really have an opportunity to impact calls and clicks and people walking in the door by creating a very compelling message. So the second best practice that we wanted to cover is really ensuring that you are reaching your audience, really getting the right, get the right person at the right time with the right message on the right device, giving context here. And whether it's classically watching video content on YouTube or other networks where you're running that pre-roll in-stream ad that many of you are familiar with, to a variety of other ad units that video is quickly being integrated with being displayed in search, in app, in game, in social. So, not just watching TV, but doing it on their tablets, doing it on your smartphones, on your laptops, on your watch, other wearables in the future. And of course, no matter what they're doing. So not just from a search perspective, but maybe you're browsing your favorite apps, maybe you're playing a game on your gaming console or on your phone, for that matter, or connecting with friends and colleagues through social media like Facebook and LinkedIn. All of these networks are launching or preparing to launch, have launched or preparing to launch video as an ad unit due to its compelling nature. That's proven many years ago. TV won the battle, and we believe that video is going to do the same here. So the third really key best practice is delivering that message to a micro-targeted audience. And what do we mean by micro-targeted? What we mean is that the best practice here is to use what we call advanced segmentation techniques to really drill down to the micro segments of your target audience and really learn over the course of time which respond to your message. So you can develop better ad versions or those segments of the markets that are responsive, or maybe shift your dollars to those that are responsive to generate the highest ROI for your ad dollars. And so really what we're talking about here is using the variables that are available, again, through video and through the internet to target, as I mentioned, again, that one-to-one versus that traditional one-to-many kind of spray and pray media campaign model, where you can be far more efficient in identifying and targeting the market that's going to be most responsive to the local businesses' service or product. Now we've touched on a few of the best practices. What I'd like to do is talk a little about, not just the what, but really talk about the how, and how platforms like how technology and certainly platforms like Sitely can help local businesses take advantage of this massive shift in consumer behavior. So, first on the kind of key areas that we have focused on as a technology provider is really three key areas around the points we've just made. So first, from a localization standpoint, that personalized creative content, creating the ability to localize that in a very scalable and easy and really what we call frictionless here in Sitely manner. The second is really the ability to reach all the screens by providing a single point access to a variety of ad units and ad networks that allow you to really reach all of your audience in hyperlocal areas. And then finally, really the concept of optimization, where again we're referring to that micro-targeting capability we touched on a minute ago, to provide a very easy, effortless ability that becomes affordable and scalable to reach your target audience. So I'm going to hit on each of these in significantly greater detail here. So let's just roll into this personalized creative piece or localized. So when we talk about personalizing content, I'd like to just run a little side-by-side commercial here where it's the same commercial but that from a local sandwich provider to see kind of what we mean here. And hopefully you'll be able to play well. So let's go ahead and run this real quick.
I'm Robin. And I'm Chris. We're the brothers behind Firehouse Subs. The last thing anyone needed was another sub shop. They needed a better one. We built Firehouse Subs on quality and quantity. And I'm into quality. Why am I quality?
So you can see from this ad that it's designed with points in the ad to take advantage of localized content, the name of the town, or area, an address, a specific call to action, or a deal, obviously a map, or other types of pieces of information that are unique to that. And so what we have developed the capability to do is allow the generation of hundreds of thousands of different video versions to allow you to really micro-target the different segments and certain different locations of a customer, target customer base, but also be able to change that ad on the fly. So being able to change deals based on location or audience or the weather or time of day, being able to change them daily, weekly, monthly, being able to run periodic or seasonal promotions, and really for a lot of our partners, creative partners, agency partners, allowing them the ability to very easily make changes to do A/B testing, not only around the actual content, but also around the deals that are going to generate the best conversions. So that's a key piece that we believe is critical in serving this market. The second piece is really around reaching these screens, reaching this audience. And unlike search, which practically everybody on this call are intimately familiar with, where there's really one major provider and a couple of minor, the video advertising market, particularly the ecosystem, is extremely complex. There are a ton of different types of video, whether you're talking about, again, in-stream video and video networks to support it, mobile, display, search, social, but there are a wide variety of networks and publishers that are supporting these ad units, where there's not really any one dominant player. Clearly, Google and YouTube have the largest individual share of the market, but unlike search, they don't really own the market. And what we have focused on, though, obviously, is partnering with the 600-pound gorilla that is Google and YouTube by integrating into their network and allowing our customers and partners to easily access this network. But we're also rapidly expanding these other points so we can act as that single point of access, really providing a frictionless point of entry into each of these ad units for all screens, for all activity. And then really around the optimization piece, we talked about this campaign segmentation, and whether it's Siley or any other technology solution, when you face the challenge of really trying to implement this critical best practice, it's daunting and, quite frankly, unmanageable at any level of scale manually. You can see here where if you were trying to run campaigns simply for 100 customers, whether it's 100 locations of a multi-location brand network or franchise or other type of multi-location business, or if it's 100 individual local businesses that are being served, attempting to manage those customers and those campaigns cost effectively is impossible to do manually. You can see the number of hours, both in terms of setting up the campaigns and, of course, the number of hours required to manage the budgets, the bids, and the performance of those campaigns on a monthly basis. Now, when you look at platforms like Siley that have developed technology to address that problem, it has just a profound impact on the ability to create access to this ad unit to the local business market. So by turning hours and days, if you will, into minutes, it provides the ability to reach this market in a very cost-effective, affordable, and for our partners, scalable manner. So, following this is the optimization piece is really data and the value of data, because really you take advantage of the data that comes in, or the information, or the insights that are generated by that, allows our customers and our partners to again be able to optimize campaigns. So again, it's all in the end, it's all about performance, because again, a lot of people have viewed TV and video by nature being related to TV inaccurately by assuming it's some big branding product. And really, when you get down into the micro-targeting and you follow the best practices of personalization and really reaching every device and every activity, you really have the ability to engage with the customers at a level that's never been done before. So really marrying the best practices of TV with the best practices of classic digital media, you get the best of both worlds. And so having a platform that gives you the data to allow you to make changes to your creative, gives you the data to allow you to evaluate your target market, to do audience verification. Who you think your audience might be as a local business may be very different than who really is engaging. So taking that local business and saying, hey, you think this, your customer is women from ages 18 to 30, well, you may find that really your best target demographic are women from 30 to 45, or have a separate, completely separate set of interests and topics that they follow than you might have originally assumed. And so you can't really improve and drive performance without that data. So whether it's improving the creative, improving the call to action, verifying your audience, in any number of insights that can be generated from the type of data that the internet, if you will, and the collection we do for these ad units can provide, really provide very powerful, what we call local big data, because everyone needs to have big data in their product as a model, is key here. And from that perspective, knowing what content and what deals work best, where, again, back to that, how do we reach the right person at the right time, in the right context, on the right device, with the right message, with the right deal. That's what the data enables you to understand, so that you can optimize your personalization you create. You can optimize the ad units and the channels and the content you're running your ads on. And of course, you'll really be able to optimize the deals and others that are driving conversions. So, following these best practices can certainly be a challenge, but we believe that through technology innovation, we at Sightly and hopefully others that will follow soon that we've built and what we continue to develop will allow the local market to really take advantage of developing campaigns that drive both awareness and customer acquisition. So really the last piece here that I wanted to take a moment to review is kind of a traditional process that we go through, a framework, if you will, for engaging with customers and partners. To give you an idea of the process, is that we typically will work with our partners, and this gets compressed or extended based on the availability of the information through our partner, but we have a way to simply grab some very simple information about who you believe your target audience are, and really some of the key attributes of your product or service that we can capture online in a very simple media brief, that then we can generate a very simple proposal, because again, based on who your target audience is, where you're targeting them, how micro-targeted you are, really impacts the audience and the audience availability in a specific hyper-local market. And so we can quickly generate a proposal that shows you, from a dollar per dollar basis, what kind of results you can expect in the market in terms of views, in terms of impressions and click-throughs, etc. And then, of course, for us, working through a very simple process around defining that campaign, defining the creative assets, generating the ad template, and then, of course, generating localized ads. It's a very simple process that we have taken, a very manual process, and with the power of technology, really created a very frictionless system for creating and launching campaigns that will be highly effective for your customer base. And you can see here, just if you want to get an idea of what this media brief looks like, and even if you're interested in saying, hey, I'd like to try out a campaign, do a pilot with yourself or with one of your customers or set of customers. It's a very simple form to fill out that we can then easily generate a proposal for the team to demonstrate how our platform works. Okay. So that's what I had in terms of kind of presenting the overview. I didn't want to take up too much people's time. I really wanted to hit the highlights of this massive shift, what we call seismic shift in audience, and really focus on how the local market could take advantage of this and kind of act as a democratization of TV, if you will, and kind of equalize local businesses now using video have the ability to kind of video can be a great equalizer between classic local businesses and traditional large brands and large advertisers. Being able for them to take advantage of this rapid and dynamically changing media market.
Does Sightly offer any paid versus organic strategies or campaigns, or are most of them just paid or a combination of both?
It's a great question. Today we're focused on paid. However, as many of you will probably know, there is a very closely tied dynamic between paid and natural search. And so we're working with our partners at Google to develop a platform that leverages the paid side of our video with natural search by integrating YouTube channels and social media placement, Google Plus specifically, and Google Plus Places with the video AdWords for video accounts that can generate significant results. So we're in testing phase right now with them, and so that's something we would expect to launch in the not too distant future. That's an excellent question because they do tie so closely together.
Does Sightly offer or plan to offer blended campaigns both online and cable buys?
It's a very interesting question. One of the tenets that we have, or at least a vision that we have, is that the entire audience, or I should say the entire market inventory around TV and video will eventually become 100% programmatic. And so today we have limited ourselves in order to provide the scalability and affordability necessary to serve the local market. We've limited ourselves to only those partners that we can technically integrate with to manage programmatic media buying. And so many of the cable providers do not currently offer that opportunity. However, we believe they are going to be forced to do so. And again, in the not so distant future, all inventory is going to be available programmatically.
Is your service fully ready and available to sell to clients now?
It is. We actually launched a beta version of our platform a few weeks ago where we began demoing it at the International Franchise Association down in New Orleans and have had fantastic experience from that. We've been running a number of large national brand advertisers as well as hundreds of small local advertisers on the beta platform for the last 6 to 9 months and have really generated a lot of success and are getting ready to go public with a handful of these case studies around those.
Does Sightly just offer the software, or do you help to create the content as well?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. We are, by design, a software platform, and certainly a key piece of that software is taking a piece of video content and designing it and integrating it into our platform to generate what we call a template so that the ad can be updated and changed dynamically and produced for thousands of different locations and different variables. As far as original content, we do have a team internally that will work with companies that may have some ad content or not that we can produce, but for the most part, we are partnering with creative agencies and other video producers who can act as our partner in producing content. But again, we're not designed to be an agency per se.
Can these video ads be set up so they cannot be skipped by viewers?
The ad unit that we have, the short answer is no today. And that is by nature of our focus on TrueView ad units that Google or specifically YouTube is offering, and all of their advent. TrueView by nature is skippable. We, and certainly our partner with Google, believe that's important for a variety of reasons. But most importantly, and this is an economic one, is that by allowing people to skip the ad, you don't pay for the person who skipped the ad. The only people that are paid for are those who choose to engage and view your ad. And that's a very different paradigm than you see with TV, where you're really just paying to spray it. And whether they watch it or not, whether they skip it or not, whether they DVR or not, you're still paying for it. And so in this instance, the idea is that by making them skippable, if your ad isn't as relevant to the individual or isn't offer some type of call to action that makes them ready to buy at this point in time, then you don't pay for that. However, interestingly enough, you are actually getting the benefit of the exposure. These are 5-second skippable ads that, by the time you go to skip, you're 6-7+ seconds into a 15-second ad. So you've already seen and delivered about half of your message. And if you're really, we've got a whole set of best practices around the actual content creation, which we didn't want to go into that level of detail today. Again, a lot of really that brand awareness or demand generation, where people are going to remember your ad without ever having to pay for it, right? And equally important is that understanding that by doing an awareness, and we've got, again, some really interesting case studies that we're going to be presenting here in the not-so-distant future around how, by running an ad campaign, that awareness, whether they're actually engaging with the ad or not, has an incredibly related impact, positive impact on other forms of advertising, such as paid search, as your display advertising, etc. Because, again, intuitively you can imagine if someone's seen your ad a few times in your area, and then go to do a search and your name comes up, they're naturally going to select you because of familiarity, because of credibility, and because of why TV has worked for dozens and dozens of years, the same reason.
I know campaign budgets vary widely, but can you share a ballpark monthly spend for a local SMB with a single location?
That's a great question and great recognition that, of course, it does vary widely, really based on who the target audience is, how broad it is, what the average average dollar volume for that store could be an individual person or agent or service provider, professional service, all the way to a very large restaurant or other types of professional service provider. But typically, what we see from ad spend with our customers typically ranges in the $200 to $700 range. It's gone as low as $100 to $150 for very individual, and we certainly have some major national brand networks where they have pretty high dollar volume locations spending a couple of thousand per month. So it certainly tends to hover right around that few $100 range.
What are the measurements you use to determine results, and how do you track them?
It's a great question. Really, one of the important elements is what's the goal of the campaign. Many of our partners are looking for, again, filling the top of the funnel. Or in our case, we like to say the left side of the funnel, where they're generating brand awareness and they want to get as many people in their target demographic seeing the ad. So that's we're obviously tracking impressions, we're tracking views in terms of down to the demographic. So what area near you, a geo-fenced model, or where are they watching, what devices are they watching on, when are they watching, who is watching in terms of age and gender and topics and interests, etc. And then, of course, if your goal is fully conversions and lead generation, then being able to track click-throughs, being able to track all the way to conversions. we work with our partners and customers to be able to put code easily right into their websites and other conversion forms, whether it be e-commerce or reservation systems, etc., to allow us to feed right back into our system what's converting. We may find that one ad unit or ad network is doing a really good job on a cost per view basis, but on a cost per conversion basis, it may not be as competitive as another ad unit or ad network. And if that's what you're optimizing for, our system will allow us to reallocate those dollars to the higher performing network or ad unit.
Are there enough people watching videos in small markets to run ads?
You know, it's a great question. Most people will make the assumption that, gee, if I'm, if I own a local sandwich shop in Plainville, Kansas, my hometown, which is why I use that name. There is a town named Plainville, surprisingly enough. That might only have several thousand people, worried that for that particular local business that there's enough audience, but the statistics clearly show that the number of people, particularly in the demographic, there's far more people than there are dollars to spend. And in this case, we've never at any point in time run into a situation where there wasn't enough inventory to support any campaign. We've run some significantly large campaigns in very highly targeted hyperlocal areas. Obviously, if you came to me and said you're looking to target women 18 to 20 who live in Ames, Iowa, who love sports and specifically Manchester United, you're going to have a pretty micro-targeted demographic there that might have some inventory problems. But for the most part, all of our clients that we have addressed have the opposite problem, and that is the amount of people they could reach is so large, it becomes one of us trying to work through a budget that says, hey, if you're going to spend $200, you would never reach any more than maybe 1% or less of the penetration of that market. And so it really becomes one more of how do I reach more of the market, not is there enough market to reach.
Thanks, John, for conducting today's webinar. We really appreciate all the info. And I'd like to also thank everyone for attending today. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact us at LSA, and we can connect you with today's presenters. And for more info on our upcoming webinars, visit localsearchassociation.org/webinars. Also, don't forget to register for LSA 14 conference in Huntington Beach, California with Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak. In addition to the Woz, we're looking forward to hearing from other leaders in local, including Sitely, Google, ComScore, YP, Bing, XAD, Jywire, and many more. Visit our website for more on that. So thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.